This is Athens, Greece. The city has existed for over 5,000 years, built around the Acropolis, this huge rock jutting up in the center of the city with a temple on top. Welcome to Worldview with Captain Kirk. In my opinion, Athens is the most influential city that's ever existed. The ideas that came out of here 2,500 years ago shaped the world throughout history. Let's look at what happened. 2,500 years ago, Athens became the most developed democracy in the world. Up here on Nick's Hill, right beside the Acropolis, thousands of people would gather and listen to speeches from the leaders and even speak themselves, and they debate the issues they were voting on. Athens had a big navy, and they made the other Greek cities pay for protection from invasions. All this money caused a cultural explosion in Athens. It was the Golden Age, from 450 to 400 BC. Painters and sculptors created masterpieces. Huge amphitheaters hosted Greek plays that are still famous today. These folks laid the foundation for philosophy, art, architecture, politics, and science, and much more. It was during this 50 years that ideas were born that changed the world ever since. They built huge, fancy buildings. This huge building is the Parthenon, built up here on the Acropolis. They built huge steps leading from the top of the Acropolis and the Parthenon down to the Agora here. It's so phenomenal to look around here. This is where all the Greeks hung out. There were markets, there were shops, there were temples, a library. It's where democracy was born. Philosophy flourished. Socrates taught Plato, who taught Aristotle, and they laid the foundation of Western philosophy. These Greeks deeply influenced Christianity and Islam later on. But the good times couldn't last forever. Just across the Mediterranean Sea, in Rome, a massive empire was forming. When the Roman Empire eventually got to Athens, they're like, whoa, look at this stuff. This is beautiful. This is so smart. These guys are really developed and advanced. This is really incredible. Instead of destroying Athens, they just stole all the ideas and took it back to Rome. The Roman Empire lasted for 1,000 years and ruled a huge part of the Western world, spreading these ideas even further. But the good times couldn't last forever for Rome either, and eventually the Roman Empire fell around 500 AD, crumpling under its own weight. This plunged Europe into 1,000 years of darkness, the Dark Ages. There really wasn't any intellectual development to speak of that happened during this 1,000 years after Rome fell. The Greek advances in art, philosophy, science, and so much more lay dormant until they resurfaced in the Renaissance, around 1400 AD. Not far from Rome, in Florence, Italy, artists and scientists rediscovered the Greek ideas, and they were like, whoa, this stuff is incredible. How have we been ignoring this? And they began to study it. These guys' artistic and scientific advancements based on what they learned from the ancient Greeks changed the world and created a revolution. Science and art flourished. Europeans finally found America, the New World. Democracy was reintroduced. Eventually, the United States would gain its independence and form a modern democracy. Ben Franklin and the founding fathers studied the ancient Greeks carefully and formed America's democracy on what they learned. Today, these ancient Greek ideas are called the classics, the liberal arts, and the humanities, and they're taught all over the world.
It's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields us the result that makes our hearts sing.
To me, it's just incredible to come back to the very same place, these same streets, where the ancient Greeks came up with these ideas that changed the world over and over. Those 50 years in Athens, 2,500 years ago, continue to change the world. That's why I think Athens is the most influential city to ever exist. I'm Captain Kirk. I'll see you next time. Special thanks to Allianz Global Assistance for sponsoring this video.